Hey, Chemical Systems class. I just wanted to go over this review sheet with you to get you ready for the test coming up tomorrow. Answer number one is matter. Matter is anything that has mass and takes up space. So one example of matter could be a table, grass, trees. Even air is considered matter because if you can compress it into a certain space and it will have volume. Something that's not matter would be like light or electricity. It's something that you can't really, it does not have matter, it does not have volume or occupy space. So light is one, would be a good example of that. The simplest form of matter is an element. Those are on the periodic table. And the smallest particle of an element is an atom. One atom of an element has the properties of all the other atoms of that element. So if you could take a piece of, let's say, gold, and keep splitting it and splitting it even down to the microscopic level, subatomic level, or atomic level, when you got to the smallest particle of matter that still was gold, had the properties of gold, it would be one atom of gold. On the other hand, compounds are made of two or more elements chemically combined. They are either sharing electrons or transferring electrons. And that's a topic of another week when we talk about how atoms combine to form compounds. But compounds are made of two or more elements chemically combined. So an example of a compound would be water, which is H2O. And that formula H2 means that there's two atoms of hydrogen and one atom of oxygen chemically combined. Basically, they share electrons and it holds them together into a small compound or molecule, which is water. The smallest part of a compound that has the properties of that compound is a molecule. So one H2O, two hydrogen, one oxygen, put together chemically by sharing electrons, forms a substance that we call water. And a molecule of water is the smallest particle of that compound that is still water. If you take the water molecule and you split it into hydrogen and oxygen atoms, they have their own unique properties. But when they are chemically combined in the ratio of H2 to 1 oxygen, they take on the properties of what we call water. Mixtures, solutions, and suspensions are physical combinations. Compounds are chemical combinations. When you make a compound by joining atoms, the original atoms lose their identifying properties and they take on the properties of the new substance that they form when sharing or transferring electrons with other atoms. On the other hand, a mixture, a solution, and a suspension are physical combinations. They keep their own properties. For example, a salad. A salad is a physical combination. The lettuce is still lettuce. If you use the whole cherry tomatoes, they're still tomatoes. When you put them in the salad, they're tomatoes and lettuce, and you can separate them back out, and they still are lettuce and tomatoes. Okay? So mixtures, solutions, and suspensions are physical combinations. The substances you put together keep their own unique properties, and you can separate them back out. Some properties of matter, physical properties. We use physical properties to identify matter without changing the composition of the matter. And we look to see whether, if we have an unknown type of matter, like if you're doing a crime scene, and it looks like a shiny metal, there are some things that they would do to make sure or to try to determine which metal it is. And one of them is conductivity, which is the answer to number 9. That allows the heat or electricity to flow through a substance. Another property is malleability. A mallet is kind of like a hammer. So malleability is the ability to be hammered into thin sheets of metal. Malleability is a physical property. The point at which a liquid turns to a gas at a specific temperature is called the boiling point. And water boils at 212. Different liquids go into the gaseous phase at specific temperatures. So if you're trying to determine what an unknown liquid is, you might trying to figure out what its freezing point is or what its boiling point is. Number 12, the point of or temperature at which a liquid turns to a solid. That's the freezing point. For water, it's 32 Fahrenheit or 0 degrees Celsius. Different liquids freeze at different temperatures. 13, when you try to compare one object's mass in a certain amount of volume to another one, that is called density. If you have a block of wood, and if we were in the lab, we'd be doing these density experiments. If you take a 1-inch block of wood and weigh it, and then take the mass and divide it by the volume, you would get the density. If you took a piece of steel, a 1-inch piece of steel, weighed it, and it was a 1-inch block, same as the wood, we would say that the steel is more dense. It would have more mass because there's more atoms packed closely together. In the wood, you're going to have air pockets, okay? So density is how close atoms are packed together. The more closely they are packed together, the greater their density. And then 14 should really have been another title. It's like the opposite of physical properties. It's chemical changes, or chemical properties occur when a substance reacts and forms one or more new substances. So chemical changes, they are used to identify substances, how it reacts. Now, in a crime scene lab scenario, you would not ever want to use your whole specimen or substance, because once you use it, it's gone. So they would take a sample of it and try to do different tests to determine what kind of chemical it might be. And then 2 examples of chemical properties would be, one is the flammability, how it burns, okay? And the other is reactivity. How does it react to other substances? So hopefully this little review will kind of go over and help clarify some of your answers. If you had any questions, it'll be a nice little review. Remember that the test will be tomorrow. It will be in a website called Edulastic, and there will be a link in Google Classroom for you to get to this test to take it online. All right, thank you.